In 2004, Andre 3000 stood at the pinnacle of fame, celebrated as one of the most influential rappers in America. Fast forward to today, and he's become an enigmatic figure, living a life of seclusion, away from the public eye for nearly 2 decades. Despite his retreat, the intrigue surrounding him hasn't diminished. Andre managed to sidestep the fate that claims many artists, the dreaded falling off. However, this escape came at a personal cost, a price he continues to grapple with. Reflecting on his journey, Andre once confessed, "There were moments when I prayed to a higher power I wasn't even sure existed. I'd have given everything, my voice, my career, just to feel normal." This raw vulnerability speaks to the internal battles he's faced. His fans and critics alike discuss him as though they know him intimately, and perhaps, in many ways, they do. Despite these challenges, Andre 3000's legacy remains untarnished. His influence is vast, and his contributions to music remain undeniable. OutKast's album Speakerboxxx The Love Below became a cultural milestone, earning multi-platinum status and solidifying its place as one of the best-selling rap albums in history. With 6 Grammy Awards and countless other accolades, OutKast redefined the genre, pushing the boundaries of what hip-hop could be. Their albums, ranging from experimental masterpieces to chart-topping hits, are all regarded as classics. Without Andre 3000, the sonic landscape of contemporary artists like Kanye West, Tyler, The Creator, Future, Childish Gambino, and Kendrick Lamar might be dramatically different. His creative fingerprints can be found in their music, a testament to his lasting influence. Yet, despite this reverence, Andre has been candid about his creative struggles. "I haven't been making much music, man," he once admitted. "My focus isn't there, and sometimes it feels inauthentic for me to rap." But what happened to the once bright star who had everything going for him? The seeds of his disillusionment were planted long before fame. Early in OutKast's career, the group faced skepticism and rejection, particularly from the East and West Coast hip-hop scenes, which dominated the airwaves. As artists from Atlanta, OutKast's sound and style were deemed too different, too weird. Even New York radio stations hesitated to play their music. But for Andre, rejection was nothing new. He had already been dismissed by industry gatekeepers, told he lacked the talent to make it big. OutKast's story began in the early 1990s when Antoine "Big Boy" Patton and Andre Benjamin met at Tri-Cities High School in Atlanta. Coming from different backgrounds, they initially clashed, but mutual respect for each other's rapping skills led them to form a duo. Under the mentorship of Rico Wade and his production crew Organized Noise, OutKast began their relentless pursuit of success. They practiced tirelessly, even performing their verses while running to build endurance for live shows. Their hard work paid off when, in 1992, OutKast became the first rap act signed to LaFace Records. 2 years later, their debut album Southern Playlist to Cadillac Music achieved platinum status, making waves in the industry and introducing the world to the Southern hip-hop sound. At the 1995 Source Awards, OutKast received the Best New Rap Group Award. However, their uniqueness was a double-edged sword. While they were praised for bringing a fresh sound, they were also criticized for being too unconventional. The duality of OutKast's music mirrored Andre's internal struggles. The first half of Southern Playlist to Cadillac Music was a celebration of Atlanta's vibrant lifestyle, while the latter half delved into darker, introspective themes. Andre, still a teenager at the time, was beginning to wrestle with the pressures of fame. After the success of their debut, Andre underwent a profound transformation. He adopted a more spiritual lifestyle, quit drinking and smoking, and even took a vow of celibacy. To those around him, the change was shocking. The Andre they knew, who once reveled in the excesses of fame, had seemingly vanished overnight. This metamorphosis, while essential for Andre's personal growth, alienated him from certain aspects of the industry. He became increasingly disillusioned with the demands of being a public figure, feeling as though the very success he had worked so hard to achieve was eroding his sense of self. "I exploited my fame," Andre once admitted. "Then I felt guilty about it and pulled back." His breakup with singer Keisha Spivey only deepened his sense of disillusionment. Andre began to feel like a deception, both personally and artistically. The weight of these emotions eventually led to his withdrawal from the music scene. Andre stood at a crossroads, wrestling with the temptation to transform into a hedonistic, materialistic 19-year-old rap star. Deep down, he yearned for authenticity, rejecting the fake persona of a gangster rapper that the industry often demanded. Despite OutKast starting out as a quirky, conscious alternative to mainstream rap, they were still expected to conform to the tough gangster image that was almost mandatory in that era. His partner Big Boy had lived through and understood that lifestyle. He carried the weight of someone hardened by adversity and could naturally fit into that world. But Andre's path was different. He had attended one of the most prestigious private schools in Atlanta, raising questions about whether he was just another rich kid playing at a tough life. The truth, however, was far more nuanced. Andre's early years were marked by struggle. When he was a young child, his mother, Sharon Benjamin, moved him into the Bowen Homes housing projects in Atlanta. Before that, they constantly shifted from place to place, as she didn't have enough savings to secure stable housing. After leaving Andre's father, all Sharon had was $450 and a mattress. What truly pained her was seeing how easily Andre, at just 10 years old, accepted the instability. Each time they had to pack up and leave, Andre would simply say, "I'm ready," as though it had become second nature. Living in Bowen Homes, Sharon constantly feared for Andre's future as she watched drug deals, fights, and the frequent presence of police and emergency services. But she was determined to give her son a better life. When opportunity arose, she enrolled Andre in a program that sent kids from low-income neighborhoods to schools in wealthier areas. That's how Andre found himself attending a middle school in Buckhead, one of the most affluent parts of Atlanta. This experience was a game changer for Andre. The elite schools exposed him to a different world, one filled with high-quality education, cutting-edge infrastructure, and a diverse cultural mix. His taste in music expanded beyond what he'd been exposed to at home, as he became a fan of artists like Rakim, Madonna, Sting, and Duran Duran. Even as a child, Andre had a curious, experimental mind, often taking apart his mom's record player and reassembling it. His new school only fueled that curiosity. Middle school also became the breeding ground for Andre's interests in art, music, and fashion. His unique sense of style began to take shape, but as his creative side blossomed, he started facing an identity crisis. Although his mother eventually stabilized their situation by becoming a real estate agent, she still couldn't afford the luxuries that many of Andre's classmates took for granted. At school, Andre would witness the affluent lifestyles of his peers, only to return home to a much more modest reality. The gap between his two worlds slowly became apparent to him. By high school, the program that had integrated Andre into Buckhead's elite schools ended. He began to rebel, engaging in typical teenage mischief, like smoking and drinking. But none of these habits turned him into the street-smart gangster he sometimes tried to emulate. Andre remained the same introspective, artistic kid, albeit with a few vices. In his early music career, Andre tried to conform to rap's traditional style and aesthetics, but he quickly realized that this wasn't his world. Both the neighborhood and the rap scene rejected him for being different. Feeling alienated, Andre began retreating into his eccentricity. It was only when he partnered with Big Boy and Rico Wade to create music in the Dungeon family's basement studio that he found his true sense of belonging. As OutKast emerged, the name itself began to resonate differently for Andre. Their debut album was a success, but it still didn't reflect who he truly was. The internal transformation he was undergoing led to an unrecognizable new image. Andre was making a statement. He would never compromise his identity just to achieve fame. Ironically, it was his embrace of his eccentricity that made him one of the biggest names in rap history. OutKast's next two albums would revolutionize hip-hop. After their street-tinged debut Southern Playlist to Cadillac Music, AT-Leans introduced a more introspective, futuristic, and spiritual tone. Andre explained to Spin magazine that the themes in AT-Leans touched on everything from aliens and robots to spirituality, relationships with God, and daily struggles. The album's blend of gospel, R&B, reggae, and even rock created a sound that was ahead of its time. Andre himself contributed as a producer on several tracks, adding to the album's moody, larger-than-life atmosphere. Despite their growing success, Andre and Big Boi were still outsiders in the mainstream hip-hop scene, especially with the dominant East and West Coast rivalries. Yet, despite their differences, Big Boi always stood by Andre. While Big Boi represented the street culture with his fast flows and charisma, Andre brought poetic introspection and eccentric artistry. Together, they were the perfect yin and yang, known for their contrasting styles. Their next album, Aquemini, would push these experimental sounds even further, effectively breaking the East-West monopoly on hip-hop. While Big Boi continued to keep things grounded, Andre leaned even more into his otherworldly style. The album fused urban and sci-fi narratives, tackling issues like addiction, relationships, and human nature. Songs like The Art of Storytelling Part 1 showcased the duo's versatility. Big Boi delivered a tale of a promiscuous girl, while Andre narrated a darker story about a young woman who passed away while pregnant. By this point, Andre 3000 had cemented himself as a unique force in music, not just for his eccentric fashion, but also for his ability to blend genres and deliver deeply personal, socially conscious lyrics. His creativity made Aquemini one of the greatest albums of the 90s, praised for its bold blend of sonic beauty and thought-provoking lyricism. Despite his growing fame, Andre's personal life was filled with highs and lows. His relationship with the singer Erykah Badu and the birth of their son were significant milestones, but they separated after 3 years, leaving Andre in a difficult emotional space. He struggled with sobriety and self-destructive behaviors during this period, yet he remained committed to creating art that reflected his life's ups and downs. As the new millennium approached, Andre officially adopted the stage name Andre 3000, signaling his leap into a futuristic mindset. He was no longer just Andre. He was an artist from the year 3000, looking far beyond the present. However, his increasing eccentricity began to worry even Big Boi, especially when Andre expressed a desire to leave rap behind and sing pop songs instead. Their next album, Stankonia, became a legendary project, blending political commentary, street life, personal struggles, and party anthems into one cohesive work. The album's biggest hit, Miss Jackson, won a Grammy and became a defining moment for both OutKast and Andre 3000. In the synth-heavy, soulful, and rap-infused track, Miss Jackson, Andre 3000 delivers a heartfelt apology to the mother of his ex, acknowledging the emotional turmoil caused by their broken relationship. Despite the personal nature of the song, it transcended into a massive hit, accumulating billions of streams even 25 years after its release. It became a cultural phenomenon, beloved by fans everywhere, including Erykah Badu's own mother, who took pride in the track despite it being centered around her daughter's heartbreak. One of the most daring and contentious tracks from the album was Bombs Over Baghdad. Andre expressed frustration with the laid-back nature of rap at the time, explaining that artists were becoming complacent after achieving financial success. He and Big Boi aimed for a track that felt urgent and full of energy. However, the song's provocative title led to it being banned by several radio stations, which hindered its commercial success as a lead single. Interestingly, the track had no connection to any political or military conflict, despite what the title suggested. Instead, it was a high-octane, bass-driven anthem about life in the streets, though it eventually became unintentionally associated with the Iraq War. On the track Red Velvet, you can hear how Andre's unique approach influenced future artists like Kendrick Lamar, while his use of a high-pitched, chipmunk-like voice would later inspire artists such as Frank Ocean and Tyler, the Creator. Stankonia, the album from which these songs came, catapulted OutKast to new heights of fame. It went gold in just a week and won the Grammy for Best Rap Album of the Year, solidifying their status as superstars. Yet, while they were conquering the world musically, Andre and Big Boi were drifting apart creatively. It wasn't due to any conflict between them. They had always been different, with Andre pushing the boundaries of artistic experimentation and Big Boi maintaining a more grounded approach. As Andre started donning colorful outfits, long wigs, and even dresses, Big Boi continued to hone his skills as an elite rapper, sticking to his roots. No one questioned Big Boy's persona, but Andre, with his increasingly unconventional behavior, faced scrutiny. Some people speculated about his mental state or substance use, but in reality, Andre was simply evolving in his own way. Andre's discomfort with live performances became apparent, but he continued to push through, despite his growing distaste for being on stage. While he dedicated himself to music, taking lessons from top musicians like Michael Jackson's guitarist, there was an underlying sense that Andre was struggling emotionally. Songs like Gasoline Dreams carried a frenetic energy, but beneath the surface, Andre's lyrics hinted at deeper feelings of loneliness and confusion, particularly when it came to relationships. Amidst this turmoil, Andre poured himself into a new solo project, The Love Below. The album explored the highs and lows of love and served as a much-needed emotional outlet for him. It wasn't intended to be a hit or change the landscape of music, yet it ended up doing both. The Love Below became one of the best-selling hip-hop albums of all time. Originally envisioned as Andre's solo project, the record label insisted that it be released under the OutKast banner to capitalize on the duo's popularity following Stankonia. As a result, Big Boy contributed his own half to the double album, called Speakerboxxx. However, the two halves of the project were distinctly different. Big Boy's Speakerboxxx was a continuation of OutKast's signature Southern hip-hop sound, featuring mature themes like parenthood, religion, and politics. On the other hand, Andre's The Love Below was unlike anything he had ever made before. It was a genre-defying work, blending elements of gothic horror, vintage jazz, psychedelic soul, and soft rock. In fact, only one track on The Love Below could be classified as hip-hop. Andre took the reins not only as the sole songwriter, but also as the producer and multi-instrumentalist, crafting a sonic tapestry that showcased the full range of his creative abilities. The album opens with a vintage jazz sound, and you can hear its influence on future albums, such as Tyler, the Creator's Flower Boy. Beyond just the sound, Andre's lyrical themes also had a lasting impact, with Tyler even including a track titled Where This Flower Blooms on his album, echoing Andre's style. Andre continued to explore unexpected musical avenues, collaborating with Norah Jones on the track, Take Off Your Cool. The song is smooth and laid back, and its easy listening vibe continues to resonate today, particularly as Norah Jones enjoys a resurgence thanks to TikTok trends in 2024. Yet the biggest hit from The Love Below was the iconic Hey Ya, which became one of OutKast's most well-known songs. Despite its upbeat, danceable sound, the lyrics delve into darker themes of loneliness and the inevitability of failed relationships. It's ironic that a song about emotional isolation became a staple at weddings and parties, where its true meaning was often overlooked. Speakerboxxx The Love Below went on to win the Grammy for Album of the Year, cementing Andre 3000's place as one of the most famous artists in America at the time. At the 2004 Grammys, Andre and Big Boy shared a heartfelt hug after their win, reflecting on their incredible 10-year journey. From being booed at their first award show in 1995 to achieving monumental success, they had defied all odds. And yet, just a year later, on Andre's 30th birthday, he chose to spend the day alone in a hotel, avoiding any celebrations. Despite his success, Andre struggled with the pressures of fame and decided to step away from music. His decision had a significant impact on Big Boy and the future of OutKast. In 2004, they were invited to perform at the Super Bowl halftime show, one of the highest honors an American artist can receive. But Andre refused to participate unless they could perform full versions of their songs. His unwillingness to compromise led to them missing the opportunity. Andre also canceled the tour that was planned to promote Speakerboxxx The Love Below, marking the beginning of the end for OutKast as a collaborative force. As Andre 3000's discomfort with performing live grew, it had a ripple effect on Big Boy, who lost out on millions in potential tour revenue. In the world of hip-hop, MC avoiding the stage was practically unheard of. It was almost sacrilegious. Reflecting on his decision to step away, Andre explained that after years of performing, he just wasn't excited about it anymore. Touring with Lauryn Hill, he found himself going through the motions, mentally checked out during shows, his mind wandering elsewhere. So he decided to take a step back, hoping to rediscover his passion. Yet, Andre left the door open, hinting that a return to the stage wasn't entirely off the table. After their final album in 2006, essentially a movie soundtrack rather than a traditional OutKast record, the duo quietly disbanded. There was no dramatic announcement, no official breakup. They simply stopped making music together. Big Boy, however, never considered OutKast to be over, acknowledging in later interviews that Andre had changed and wasn't the same person anymore. They parted ways without a formal goodbye. What happened next is something fans saw on the surface. Andre slowly faded from the public eye. He dabbled in acting, launched a short-lived fashion line, and became something of an enigma, occasionally spotted in airports and cities playing the flute. He didn't disappear entirely, though. In fact, Andre continued to create, contributing legendary guest verses on tracks from artists like Frank Ocean, Drake, Future, and James Blake, among others. Even though he wasn't releasing solo projects, his features kept him relevant, and a new generation was introduced to his genius through these collaborations. In 2023, Andre finally announced a solo album, his first in nearly 15 years. But to everyone's surprise, it wasn't a rap album. There were no lyrics at all. Instead, it was an instrumental flute album with experimental sounds. When asked why he didn't make a rap album, one of the most revered and influential rappers in history simply replied, "I can't make a rap album." This left fans puzzled, especially since some of his post-OutKast features were considered some of his best work. Why walk away from rap when he was still at the top of his game? Andre's fear of losing his creative spark had always haunted him. The thought of becoming irrelevant, of no longer being cool, was terrifying. Rather than risk falling off, Andre made the choice to step away at the height of his fame. By collaborating with younger artists, he managed to stay active in the music world without the pressure of creating his own full-length projects. From his early endorsement of Life Taker Mike in the Stankonia days to his relationships with future rap giants like Eminem, Future, Frank Ocean, and Drake, Andre's best work often came from collaborations. Tracks like Pink Matter with Frank Ocean or Life of the Party on Kanye West's Donda album showcased the brilliance of his modern verses. So why, with such a successful track record, did he release a flute album? And why does he live such a secluded, monk-like existence, avoiding live performances and large crowds? The answer lies in Andre's complicated relationship with fame. He once remarked that fame was unnatural, describing how it warps not just the artist, but also those around them. The constant attention, praise, and expectations change people. They start treating you differently, and in response, you start acting differently too. It's a vicious cycle that can lead to isolation and self-doubt. As Andre's fame grew, he found himself spending more time alone in hotel rooms, disconnected from the world, and his ability to write suffered as a result. For Andre, fame took a toll on his creativity and his sense of self. He often referenced the story of a blues artist who, after achieving success, had to hire someone to break his heart just to write music that felt authentic again. Andre would visit small clubs, watching unknown artists perform, drawn to the raw passion they exuded. These artists were fighting to be heard, with no guarantees of success, and that hunger reminded Andre of what he had lost. By 2014, Andre's struggles had become too much to ignore. He sought out a psychiatrist and was diagnosed with social anxiety and hypersensitivity disorder, conditions that made daily life challenging, let alone the pressures of stardom. Playing the flute became a therapeutic outlet for him, helping to soothe his anxieties and allowing him to create without the weight of expectations. His flute album wasn't a gimmick. It was a deeply personal project, representing nearly 2 decades of introspection and healing. This explains why Andre 3000 has been spotted in various cities, playing his flute for strangers. It's a way for him to strip away his ego as a performer, no longer the famous rapper, but simply a nameless figure sharing his art with the world. In 2019, Andre reflected on his journey, admitting, "I don't even know what I am, and maybe I'm nothing. Maybe I'm not supposed to be anything." He was still searching for what made him feel whole, and in the absence of a persona or a music career, he turned inward. In his middle age, Andre finally confronted the unresolved trauma of his childhood issues that had followed him throughout his life, from failed relationships to his crippling anxiety. The deaths of his parents, particularly the impact of his complicated relationship with them, weighed heavily on him. It wasn't until his 30s that his mother revealed a family secret that only deepened his emotional turmoil. All of these experiences shaped who Andre 3000 became, both as an artist and as a person. The culmination of Andre 3000's deep reflection on his life resulted in an extraordinary song, arguably his best since OutKast's prime. It surpasses his flute album and even outshines his standout guest appearances. This masterpiece is Life of the Party, created alongside Kanye West for Donda. We know Andre 3000's parents weren't married, and his birth was unexpected. However, what we didn't know, and what Andre didn't know for years, was the painful story behind why his mother moved out of the apartment she once shared with his father. One day, Andre's father brought home a new girlfriend and bluntly admitted to his mother, "The only reason I'm with you is for the baby." His mother, in an act of self-respect, left immediately, even though it meant enduring homelessness and poverty. She worked tirelessly to provide Andre with opportunities, a sacrifice she didn't reveal to him until he was 35. Andre recounts how his mother once confided in him when he was around that age, saying, "When you were 5, I was doing crack." She explained that at the time, it was a new drug, and she was involved with a drug dealer who introduced her to it. After their relationship ended, she turned to crack as a means of escape, though she eventually found strength and faith, becoming active in her community and marrying a preacher. It was a journey of recovery. Her resilience taught Andre valuable lessons about hope, but it also gave him insight into his own fears, particularly his anxiety about growing older. On his 30th birthday, Andre hid away in a hotel, avoiding everyone he knew. The unresolved childhood trauma, coupled with early success, made him fragile in the face of fame. He once noted that for entertainers, any time taken away from the spotlight freezes them at that age. Andre recalled, "I was 17 when I learned how to write a check. After that, OutKast took off, and I never really had to grow up." Despite his fame, his personal growth remained stunted, and even reconnecting with his father later in life didn't offer the clean slate he sought. He realized his father wasn't evil, just a man plagued by the same fears and insecurities as Andre himself. As his father battled heart issues, prostate cancer, and colon cancer, Andre and he made peace. Andre often reflected on his father's pattern of avoiding serious relationships, recognizing how he had inherited some of those same tendencies. Now, Andre's son views him similarly, continuing the cycle. The deaths of both of Andre's parents left him feeling adrift, especially as his son left for college. By 2020, Andre admitted that life felt like a treadmill of dread. "I'm always thinking about death," he said, noting the fatigue from attending funerals as his new reality. "I never planned on being an adult, and now I have to be." But phone call from Kanye West changed everything, pulling Andre out of his despair to create Life of the Party, a song that masterfully bridges his past and present in ways few artists can achieve. As of 2024, Andre has embraced his life with newfound confidence. He's back on tour with his flute album, no longer afraid of live performances or social interactions. Though some fans still wonder why he won't return to rap, Andre is making the music he wants to make, with a loyal following ready to support him. Andre's career accomplishments are impressive. Multi-platinum rap albums, a legacy of influence that spans decades, and a rare level of success that few in the industry have maintained for as long as he has. Yet, knowing his personal story, it becomes clear that the least important thing is whether Andre will ever release another rap album. His journey, marked by intense scrutiny, self-imposed isolation, and record-breaking achievements, has solidified his place as a unique artistic figure. Despite the pressures to conform, Andre chose to chart his own path, even if that meant leaving rap behind. In pushing back against a system that didn't suit him, Andre 3000 cemented himself as a trendsetter, someone who not only shaped the genre, but transcended it. His ability to embrace his individuality while still influencing others is what makes him one of the greatest artists of all time. And ultimately, Many of us can relate to Andre's story. The pressure to conform to societal expectations, whether at school, work, or in creative endeavors, is something we all face. In Andre's case, stepping away from the limelight and following his own creative impulses was the healthiest choice he could make. Andre 3000's journey reminds us that sometimes walking away is the bravest thing an artist can do. From OutKast's meteoric rise to Andre's personal battles with fame and identity, his story is one of creative evolution and self-discovery. As fans, we may never get another rap album, but what he's given us will last forever. Thanks for watching the untold story of Andre 3000's disappearance from rap. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth looks at the music world's most compelling stories. See you next time.